Hey guys, this is Neo once again from the Overclocker magazine. Today I'm here to talk to you about the G.SKILL Trident Z5 RGB kit. So this kit is rated at DDR5 6000 CL30 at 1.35 volts. And the current going price for this memory kit is $4,999, and that's at Wootware. However, if you want to get it from Amazon, it's going to cost you $264 minus the shipping. I think the shipping and duties were like $52 or something like that. But anyway, so what is it that you are getting for 5 grand? I think you're getting one of the better memory kits in the country. For the kind of price that G.SKILL is asking you for here, it's going to be very difficult for you to do much better. Yes, you can get green PCB OEM memory, but knowing that DDR5 needs cooling more so it seems than DDR4, I'm not sure how far you'll get with that green PCB DDR5, particularly if you want to be overclocking and so forth. Especially if you consider that 13th gen core comes in by default at DDR5 5600. Changing from that to XMP actually showed a measurable gain in performance. However, going from 6000 to 6800, which is where I settled as my most comfortable setting, I found that the difference in performance or the gain in performance wasn't that large. However, part of that is because I was using for my gaming tests a graphics card that is essentially at its limits when it comes to 13th gen core. Yes, it is a decent graphics card. It's a ROG RX 6800. However, you're going to need something with a lot more legs, or at least run a lower resolution for you to be able to appreciate the differences between 6800, XMP at 6000, and the default setting for 13th gen core. And by the way, when I say 13th gen core, I'm talking specifically 13900K. So initially, I'd wanted to see this memory do 7200, right? But the thing is, for me to be able to do DDR5 7200, I needed at least 1.55 volts. And on top of it, my timings had to be very loose. I had to settle for CL36, 44, 44, and yeah, 58, 52 or something like that. But whereas if I backed down to DDR5 6800, but I could do 32, 40, 40, 38 at 1.4 volts. Was there a performance difference between the two? Yes, of course. But it was so little. And in fact, many times it was actually in favor of the CL32 6800 settings that it wasn't worth it. I could go 150 millivolts less and arguably get better and more consistent performance. And when I say more consistent performance, I'm talking in terms of cooling. DDR5 runs hard, particularly this kit. If you're going to be running 1.55 volts through it, it does get a little bit toasty. Whereas at 1.4 volts, it was not the case at all. And on top of it, I've noticed that if I'm in a situation where I need to pump so much juice through a DRAM kit, chances are I won't be able to use those very same settings when I've installed the memory into a boxed computer and so forth, particularly when I'm playing games, because all of that heat that's coming, whether from the VRM of the motherboard, whether it's coming from the GPU, the CPU, or what have you, it ends up influencing the DRAM operating temperature. So 1.4 volts, CL32 40 40 38 at 6800 is literally the best setting that I could come up with, and I'm quite happy with it. In fact, I'm more pleased with it than if I had been able to do 7200 but still needed the same amount of voltage but with just slightly tighter timing. Because let's be honest, at least this is true for me, if I'm going to be pumping huge amounts of voltage through the DRAM, let's say 1.65 volts or something like that, I want it to be for something competitive, right? I'm going to submit these scores on HWBot or to prove a point or whatever it is. But outside of that, I need something that's stable, that will play my games, that will make sure that my system is rock solid. And I found that the 6800 setting allowed me to do that. I actually did do 7000, DDR5 7000, but that was at CL34, 42, 42, 52, I think. And that still needed 1.5 volts. Did I lose anything compared to the 7000 because I just didn't want to use more voltage? Yes, of course I did. But where I lost performance in the synthetic tests, it was so little. Like for instance, I lost 300 points from 7000 versus 6800. 300 points is not a lot when we are talking scores that are above 215,000. It's just it's academic, and I guarantee you will not be able to appreciate that in your productivity software, in your browsing, in definitely not in your games. And talking about games, I had expected to see a much bigger difference between XMP 6000 and 6800, which is where I settled, of course. However, I noticed much later on that I was actually running into GPU limitations because of the ROG RX 6800 GPU that I was using. Yes, I should have switched to 720p, but the issue with switching to 720p, not only did I realize that late, but nobody, or rather very few people, will play 720p with this sort of hardware. Yes, there are people who play 1080p with this kick-ass gear, but 720 would be a bit stretching it. So I wanted to present something that's a little bit more realistic. What you will notice about the game benchmarks, however, there's only 4, but what you will notice is that the minimum frame rates are generally way higher with the overclock setting than they are at default or XMP. I think the only game that I tested where the average frame rate was even higher was in Far Cry 6. In Hitman and in other things like that, I think it was much the same. It was just the minimum frame rates that were improved. Compared to the default settings of the 3900K at DDR5 5600, yes, XMP made sizable difference. And of course, if you compare that with the overclocked 6800 CL32 setting, that's going to be a huge difference in performance. With all of that said, what do I think of this memory visually? Look, it's just an evolution of what G.SKILL had been already providing us with their Trident memory from DDR4 days. It looks a little bit different. I definitely do prefer the colors here. I think they're a little bit brighter, but that could just be perception or the contrast between the all black heatsink and the RGB. But I do prefer this kit over the DDR4 version. It's slight differences, but nonetheless, it is something that I appreciate. Is this the best looking kit on the market? No, I don't think so. Not by a long shot. But is it a very potent kit? Yes, it definitely is, especially for the price. In as far as what I think of this memory, I think it ticks all the boxes. It literally ticks all the boxes. Would I have liked to see the newer IC on this memory, like I think the Hynix-A die? Yeah, of course I would. I also want to be able to do 7200 at 1.4 volts instead of 1.55. But even with that said, the fact that this memory could do 7000 and could do 6800, which is even better at just 50 millivolts more, I can't fault that. I really can't fault that. So anyway, let me know if you guys are already using this memory. Are you planning on buying this memory? Are you even in the market for DDR5 right now? Remember to check out the benchmarks at the end of this review. Until then, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. So